Welcome to my new show, Failed Games of Mine. I'm using a picture of my avatar, Ace Sling, because I'm reading from a script. If I filmed my face while reading the script, it would be kind of awkward. I wouldn't be looking at the camera. I'd be looking at the notebook on my desk. That would be weird. This way, it looks more natural. Now that that's out of the way, let's move on to the game. On this show, we have a 3-level scoring system for how bad the failed game was. An issue score means the game creators had a misstep. They made good games before, but then made this game, a game that did things wrong, learned their lesson, and now make better games. Then there's the problematic score. These games are games from once legendary studios, but then something happened. Maybe some losers got into the studio and drove off the people who made the good games, and then made a game that looks and works nothing like the other games in the series do. What makes it worse is when they lie and say that the game is canon to the good games that came before it. This is why I say names mean nothing. A lot of woke DEI pushers have taken over once great studios, and they take them in problematic directions that can lead to our third rating, catastrophic. These games are the worst of the worst. They were made by studios, and the reception was so poor that the games... They were made by studios, the reception was so poor that the games were shut down, and the studio was too. All that work, all that cash, gone. A game universe with so much potential destroyed because of horrible ideas and money-hungry corporate conglomerates not being able to get their fix. I may have some strong feelings about stuff like this. So let's move on to our first game. Today, we're going to talk about a game that is not only an insult to the Arkham series, but the DC universe as a whole. Sweet Baby Shame, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. I hate that title. First of all, I don't want the Suicide Squad to kill the Justice League. I want them to work with the Justice League to stop Brainiac. But that never happened. Yes, during the final Brainiac boss fight of the game, Flash and Green Lantern helped the Suicide Squad damage him, but it was never the whole team. And you never got to play as just the Justice League. That was one of the many missed opportunities with this game. They could have easily let us play as them with the core gameplay style. Everyone jumps and shoots, basically, and it would have been so much more fun to jump and shoot as Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, and Wonder Woman. And instead of shooting guns, they could have used their abilities. Also, there could have been more playable characters in the game at launch. There were only 4. I've seen failed live service games launched with more playable characters. But then there's the people that say that, of course they killed the Justice League. It's in the title. Yeah, but I thought it was a joke. Because there is no way the Suicide Squad members that you play as are a match for the Justice League members that are in the game. Maybe it was Kid Flash, Superboy, Green Lantern, Superboy, Wonder Girl, Robin, and that little Green Lantern boy from Batman Beyond, who likes to meditate. You might have had more of a chance, but it still wouldn't go well for them. Why? Because for some reason they decided to make every playable character use guns. Now I know there are characters in the DC universe who use guns, but also all the guns that were playable, but also, yeah, what was it? But almost all the ones that were playable don't use regular guns. Captain Boomerang, King Shark, Mr. Freeze, Kimberly Laws, and Old Man Deathstroke don't need to use guns. And in the comics and other games, you can see why. Their skills are so good, they don't need them. But the people who made this game, WB Incorporated, decided to make all the characters use guns because they were chasing trends. They wanted that Fortnite money. But by ignoring the perfectly viable gameplay style of the other Rocksteady games, it makes it harder for the game to be successful. Then we have characters of the game. They have the characters of the game, story of the game, live service aspect of the game, and the aftermath of the game. We will analyze all these things and more on this show. But first, the theme song. When I first saw you, I already knew there was something inside of you. Something I thought that I would never find. Failed games of mine. I look at you, not looking at me. Now I know why they say the best things are free. I gotta do this cause you're out of time. Failed games of mine. People all around me are not showing you love, and I have to join them cause of all of this stuff. I'll always fight you on your failed game crimes. Failed games of mine. Failed games. Failed games of mine. Failed games. Failed games of mine. Failed games of mine. First, the graphics. The graphics of the game are good, because Rocksteady games have good graphics. I think the graphics and feel of the game are not as good as Arkham Knight, but it does the job. The character models are also good looking, for the most part. You can clearly see that the characters from the other games are redesigned. Harley is deflated, Wonder Woman is covered up, Deadshot is a different race. It's like a whole new team was involved in making the game. But looks aren't everything. Let's talk about the gameplay. Rocksteady is well known for a gameplay style called Free Flow Combat. The Batman Arkham games are legendary because of it. Batman and his friends are able to flip and dodge and strike enemies and build up combos and do special moves and takedowns to defeat them. And some characters have different moves and weapons at different speeds. If this new game is actually related to the Arkham series, then they should use and expand upon this gameplay style. I've also wanted to see more Justice League characters doing free flow combat. So what gameplay style does Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League use? Fortnite. I'm not even kidding. All the characters basically jump and shoot. And while that's not a bad gameplay style, it's not the same style as the other games, and it feels like they're trying to copy the popular games that came out a few years ago. This is most likely the reason that the game was live service too. WB, like many once great corporate conglomerates, only cares about cash, and they saw that live service games, like Fortnite, make lots of cash. So they decided to make this game a knockoff of it. All the bright colors and flashing lights and people constantly talking is like jingling keys in front of a baby. There's a lot of hello fellow kids energy in this game, and I don't like it. This shift in style feels like they didn't care about the core audience, and were looking for a new audience, one that wants games like Fortnite. Now, Fortnite is not a bad game, but not every game needs to be Fortnite. By trying to imitate it, they've lowered the quality of their game. So many things that would have worked were not used, and so many things that didn't work were used instead. And that goes for each character too. I said this before, but I'll say it again. They should have made this game like Marvel Rivals or Helldivers 2. Either give us unique characters with unique gameplay styles, or nameless, faceless soldiers we can customize. Not a strange combination of both. Each character that you play as in this crappy game looks different, and is a fan fiction version of a different character from the DC universe. You play as fanfiction Harley, fanfiction Deadshot, fanfiction Boomerang, and fanfiction King Shark. They're all different characters that all work the same. It feels lazy. We could have had 3 sizes of characters, 3 distances of attacks, and so much more variety with abilities. Do you know how many different characters are in the DC universe? Hundreds. But I know you guys don't like to work with characters like that because they have lore attached to them. And lore makes it harder for you people to make them they'll act the way you want them to act. So I say stick with making characters that have no lore. Only make games starring nameless, faceless soldiers. Helldivers style. All playable characters look the same and work the same, but you can customize them. It would have made an awesome commercial. Welcome to the Suicide Squad to recruit. Get your gear and report for duty. We've got an invasion by Brainiac, a little green man with a purple fetish. He and his gun-toting goons got the Justice League, and now they work for him too. Time to take back our city. Use a Speed Force gauntlet, or a bat or mallet, or a set of wrist cannons, or a boomerang, or one of our other weapons to get some revenge for what they've done. Suicide Squad versus the Justice League. That would have been so much better. Though I still wouldn't like seeing people lecture Batman before shooting him on a park bench. Anyway, with the way things went, the choice of gameplay style was not the best. Now let's look at the characters. First of all, in a game called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, you'd think that they'd find Suicide Squad members that could match the Justice League. Bizarro could fight Superman. He's as strong as Superman, and in some continuities, he was made by Lex Luthor, who hangs out with Waller in the game. Then you could have Killer Croc. He's bigger and stronger than both Batman, and he was practically set up for Suicide Squad work in Arkham Knight. And then you could have a Yellow Lantern and a Speedster fight against Green Lantern and Flash. But they didn't do any of that. Instead, we get 7 humans and a Shark Man. You play as Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, King Shark, a young, easily controllable Joker, a gay female version of Mr. Freeze, an annoying Kim Belair self-insert character, and an old man Deathstroke. Each character is inspired by another character from a different IP. Harley Quinn in this game is not the same person as the Harley Quinn from the Arkham series. She acts different, she plays different, and she's gay. And she's more like the Harley Quinn from the old cartoon show, where she was gay for Poison Ivy, which does not work here because the Ivy is 8. Also, Harley didn't say anything good about the Joker. You know, the guy who manipulated her into becoming Harley Quinn and help him escape from Arkham. The guy who she tortured and killed people for. The guy she kidnapped cops to lure Batman to her so she could get revenge on him after he died. Suddenly, she doesn't care about him at all. She now is a strong, independent, gay woman who is a totally different person than any other Harley. Then there's Deadshot, or rather, the guy that says he's Deadshot. He's obviously based on the Will Smith version of Deadshot from the lesser Suicide Squad movie. But he doesn't even look or act like Will Smith, so he's a knockoff twice. Also, he keeps saying he's the real Deadshot when he clearly is not. This is a good opportunity to talk about another scam the people who made this game helped with. The Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League tie-in comics. They all suck. They basically try to make this non-canon game canon. One of the stories was about this fake Deadshot story, the origins. From what I saw, fanfiction Deadshot was standing on a roof of a building downtown, talking to some other losers, when the real Deadshot from the Arkham series starts shooting at them. He kills the other losers, but somehow misses fanfiction Deadshot. And eventually, according to audio logs I heard in the game, fanfiction Deadshot kills the real Arkham Deadshot. That's pretty much impossible, for two reasons. First of all, the real Arkham Deadshot is a sniper. He has a special sniper rifle that he uses to kill targets from a mile away or more. He does have wrist cannons, but they were just for shooting enemies that would get too close to him, like Batman. His targeting skills were legendary. He could even bounce bullets off of things to hit his targets. Second of all, Arkham Deadshot is white or Hispanic. Fanfiction Deadshot is black, and he's more like a henchman or soldier. He rarely uses sniper rifles. I only saw him use one once in the game. He mostly uses assault rifles and his machine gun wrist cannons. Next is Boomerang. He's an idiot. He's the punching bag of the group, and I'm pretty sure I know why. He's the only white guy in the group except Deathstroke. He's also does things that I learned the actual Boomerang would never do. One thing I did see was him complaining about the guns they started off with. That's not normal for Captain Boomerang. He throws boomerangs. He's so skilled that he doesn't need to use guns. But he does in this game. Then there's the best character of the game. The one character who's both tanky and not human. King Shark. Now this Superman, and possibly Aquaman villain, is a large shark man. You'd think he would use his size and strength to fight enemies. But he doesn't. He uses guns like everyone else. He's a cool guy that reminds me of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. But like with everyone else, his gameplay is bland. He can jump and then swim through the air, but that's the only difference. He is yet another gunfighter. And they say he's gay, but nothing really happens because of it. And these are the characters you play at launch. Later you get Jump and Shoot Joker, Jump and Shoot Mrs. Freeze, Jump and Shoot Lawless, and Jump and Shoot Deathstroke. Yet another character who doesn't use guns in canon stories, but he does here. Just here. All the characters you play as use guns, and there is no gun-free option. Also, you didn't get to play as all the 8 characters at launch. You played as 4. Now, 4 characters in an offline single-player game is good. In fact, that is the most playable people ever playable in an Arkham's game. But this sham of a game was a live service. 8 people at launch is small for one of those. 4 people is piddling. And there's only one gameplay style. It feels lazy. This game should not have been live service. There was only 2 reasons for it: to chase trends and to get money. Fortnite is live service and makes no money, so they wanted to have their radically different game like that. Make their radically different game like that. The problem is that, unlike good live service games like Fortnite, Helldivers 2, or Marvel Rivals, Suicide Squad Kill the Arkhamverse had a few hours of story, only 4 characters at launch, and a bland knockoff gameplay style. Also ridiculous microtransactions like skins for up to $24 each. It was like, hey, I know you'd rather play as other characters, but how about overpriced guns and skins and other weapons that are themed after them being used by the C-list or lower characters instead? It didn't work. Also, good live service games have way more content than Suicide Squad. There are way more characters and way more things to do at launch. And it only got better from there. Suicide Squad felt like a single-player offline game hastily chopped up into a live service game, with horrible results. And they even tried to sell a deluxe edition. More guns and skins and 3-day early access for way too much money. Well, all 3 of those things sucked, especially the 3-day early access. It was so buggy, it didn't work. What a waste of cash. And now let's talk about the worst thing about this game. I could go on and on about the gameplay and the live service aspect, but the story is what ruined the game. Some people disagree, but it's true. Everything else would have been better if the story was actually good. Now let's go through the story to prove it. First, there was audio logs that should have been fully rendered CG cutscenes, but the writers of the game don't care about that. In that audio log, or those audio logs, you hear Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, and Flash, Wonder Woman talk about how a guy called Brainiac, talk about this guy called Brainiac, and how he's flying around in a skull ship and wants to have a peace talk with the Justice League. Batman says it's a trap, and the others say that even if it is, they'll be able to handle it. They all go, and everyone but Wonder Woman and Flash get caught and brainwashed. Argus, the DC equivalent of the U.S. government, decides to stand in the Suicide Squad. They choose the weakest possible members and King Shark to fight the strongest members of the Justice League with guns. The next few hours are all about finding the weakness of the Justice League member and using it with bullets to kill them. Except for when fake Superman attacked Wonder Woman. They just stood there, threw a boomerang at him, but that was just for one of the few good jokes of the story. The writing was horrible. During that same scene, Waller was doing a classic repeating lines from earlier to sound cool thing. But it doesn't work here. The first time she said that line, she was recruiting them. She said, "I only need one of you. The rest of you are dead already." Later, she said that while injured during the Superman Wonder Woman fight. But why? You need help. Order one of them to get you to safety, and tell the others to do their job and shoot at the Corey's Justice League member. But that never happens. Wonder Woman is killed by fake Superman because of their inaction. And then they mourn her. And then they continue to kill the others, and eventually the first Brainiac. I say the first one because there were 13 Brainiacs in this game. Because it was live service. That was the only reason. And I had a feeling something was wrong. Because the first Brainiac boss fight was a copy of the Flash boss fight. The next one was Green Lantern, then Superman, and then combos of those three. I was hoping for a boss fight where he would float it around, swung at us with his tentacles, shot us with energy blasts, and called in waves of his henchmen to distract us from damaging him. But that never happened. All Brainiac boss fights were copies of Justice League boss fights, except for Batman's. For some reason, Batman didn't have a giant Brainiac torso fight. It would have made more sense than the Batman torso boss fight. Anyway, the story is pretty much over at that point. The rest of the game during its live service life was basically wait a few months for more DLC from this game, while way better games come out. Get a new character that jumps and shoots, and grind up levels so that you can find a copy of Brainiac imitating a Justice League boss fight. This went on for almost a whole year. Games like Wukong, Stellar Blade, and Space Marine 2 came out, while everyone was waiting for more DLC. And then finally we get the ending of the Suicide Squad story. Yeah, I might actually try it again. I don't know. We'll see. After getting all 8 characters playable, we jump and shoot through more Brainiac boss fights, and have even more guns and skins for sale. Then we get the final cutscene. It was a motion comic, with only one voice actor narrating. Harley Quinn talks about how the Justice League members they killed were clones, and that how Batman and Superman appeared and took down Brainiac with the help of the real Flash and real Green Lantern, who he saved during the live service part of the game. Then the Justice League members and the Suicide Squad members fly off into their multiverse with the Skull Ship and beam Brainiac to Waller, and then the game story ends. What a load. This game is not Arkham style. This game is not a canon DC game. This game is fan fiction. Every character is raw. The gameplay is bland, and the story is the worst. If the gameplay was free flow combat, it would have been better, but the story still sucks. If the right characters were used, it would have been better, but the story still would suck. If there was a single player offline game, it would have been better, but the story still sucks. There were so many ways to make the story work, and there were so many ways to make the story work, make the Justice League members who were in the game make it work. The Justice League members who were in the game had left Earth to fight Darkseid or something. Only sidekicks are left, and then Brainiac comes to Earth and attacks. The sidekicks are overwhelmed, and Argus sends in the Suicide Squad to fight the Brainiac henchmen and fight the corrupted Justice League members. And these powerful Suicide Squad members will defeat the Justice League members and will save them from Brainiac. Then both teams will work together to beat the one Brainiac and save the world. No microtransactions, no guns, free skins, and way more characters and gameplay styles. Someday I hope that game comes out. But until then, we have this sham. And it gets even worse when you see all the blame game going on. Sweet Baby mouthpieces said it was not Sweet Baby that made the game bad. They want us to ignore the fact that every Sweet Baby game does the same exact thing. Especially if it's a sequel to a successful game series. The white male main character is sidelined, weakened, corrupted, or killed, and replaced with the characters they like better. Even if it doesn't work for the story. They were like, the world is being taken over by an army of alien monsters. Who would be the best person to deal with this problem? This company makes Batman games, so Batman? No. I think a clown girl, a knockoff. Well, let's say. Well, put a well there. Well, this company. No, I think a clown girl, a knockoff, an idiot, and a shark man could do it instead. Well, the plot issues with that idea ruin the game, and blame game won't help either. You all know it's your fault. See, baby, you can lie and say it's not, but the evidence proves otherwise. Why is Harley deflated and covered up? Why is Wonder Woman deflated and covered up? Why are Batman and the other Bat family members barely in the game when they were the stars of the previous games? Different people did it. That's why. Why did they use jump and shoot combat instead of free flow combat? Why was it live service instead of single player offline like all of their other games? I know why. Because Sefton and Jamie didn't make this game. WB and Super Baby did. WB wanted it to be live service, even though they deny it. And Super Baby obviously made it. This made the story, even though they deny it too. It's so sad to see. If only they could make a game like Suicide Squad, but not as insulting. Oh wait, they did. They made a game called Capes. It was a superhero knockoff game where you played as the knockoff characters. It used an XCOM gameplay style and looked like it belonged on PS2. But that was fine. Woke games should never be AAA or live service. Suicide Squad is a good reason why. It cost too much to make. It insulted the core fan base and it never made its money back. Statement games are not about making money. They're about they make a statement and then end. Suicide Squad and Justice League made a statement. We hate Batman and the Justice League and fans of those games. Also, we have useless things for sale. Please buy them. And that statement is what killed it. It gets a problematic score. If they keep going in this direction, they could cause huge problems. Rocksteady is now working on a remake of an Arkham game, and while I agree that it should make Arkham games, they should not be remakes. This is the time for Arkham Battle for the Cowl and Arkham Justice League. They ironically showed that they could make a good Justice League game. Harley has a grappling hook and a bat drone. Boomerang moves like the Flash. Fake Deadshot moves like Green Lantern could, and King Shark moves like Superman could. I hope they make better games, but as for this one, it deserves the footage of shame. Footage of shame. Stop. When I first saw you, I already knew there was something inside of you. Something I thought that I would never find. Failed games of mine. I look at you, not looking at me. Now I know why they say the best things are free. I gotta do this 'cause you're out of time. Failed games of mine. How you changed my world, you'll never know. I'm different now. You helped me grow. People all around, they are not showing you love. And I have to join them 'cause of all this stuff. I'll always fight you on your failed game crimes. Failed games of mine. Nothing means more to me than what we share. No one in this whole world can ever compare. And still the way you failed is still on my mind. Failed games of mine. What you mean to me, you'll never know. deep inside. I need to show people all around they are not showing you love. And I have to join them because of all this stuff. I'll always fight you on your failed game crimes. Failed games of mine. I never knew I could feel this moment as if it were new. Every breath that I take, each law that you break, I'm gonna share it with you. You. When I first saw you, I already knew there was something inside of you, something I thought that I would never find. Failed games of mine. People all around, they are not showing you love. And I have to join them because of all this stuff. I'll always fight you on your failed game crimes. Failed games of mine. How you changed my world, you'll never know. I'm different now, you helped me grow. I look at you, not looking at me. Now I know why they say the best things are free. I gotta do this 'cause you're out of time. Failed games of mine. Wow, this script took a long time, but it's the first of many. There are so many failed games out there now that I have a huge pool to pull from. Until then, see you next time. Check me out on YouTube and DeviantArt. Also, I'm sad that this game bombed so hard. That's what making it wrong does for you. The cool thing is, I know there will be more Batman and Justice League games. Just like I know there will be more Avengers games. Why? Because they make money. The Suicide Squad, not so much. Maybe they could make a Star Wars Battlefront style game starring them. You could play as a few members, and they could run around and try to finish the mission, and after a few hits, they could die like Stormtroopers. Then when you run out of squad members, the game ends. It could also look like the 2004 version of that game. That's where Woke belongs.